Okay, today we have a Micronas dash cluster. This is out of what was built 08 of 06. And you can tell it's a Micronas because of the big plug on the back. If you have a small single plug like this one, this is an NEC cluster. That's 2009 and newer. This is Micronas, which was usually on the Golfs, Jettas, the Volkswagens from right about 2006 and a half up to about 2008. Seen them in 2009s too. But on this one, we had troubles. We were trying to get into it to program a key in an all keys lost situation, and we couldn't get into it. It said, no, not going to let you in. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull this apart. We're going to read the 24C32 chip on the daughter board. And we're going to F out a few lines of code, which are actually the lines of code that equal out to the immobilizer. And this is always better when you have the right tools available, like a screwdriver. But hey, if all else fails, get out a broken lishy pick, and then we're going to try and pull this stuff apart. Don't try this stuff at home, children. Your mileage may vary. And all the other good little tidbits that guys try and throw out there when they're trying to make it seem like they actually had planned this instead of being totally off guard. Okay, so we've torn this apart, and you look at it and you're like, what the hell? You don't have to pull any of the gauges. You don't have to pull any of that stuff. What we're going to do is we're going to go down here on the side, and we're going to go underneath the edge of the board, and we're going to kind of wiggle it. And when we wiggle it, these two plugs come out of the daughter board, which is, you know, for those of you who do the NECs, this is actually kind of cool because you don't have to worry about it. Now, you got a couple of choices. The chip we're going after is on the board here. Some guys clip onto them and read the data from the chip and then F out the lines. And some of us actually pop the darn thing out and we take it over to the soldering station and we get out our handy dandy readers, and it looks like we are going to be going after this chip right here. So what I'm going to do is go unsolder this from the board and then put it on the ABPROG. We're going to read it. We're going to change the bin file, write it back, and then we'll put everything back together. We'll get into it and we'll rewrite the whole data back to the cluster. So I'll restart when we get to that point. Okay, so now, not sure if you can see it or not, but we took the chip off of the daughter board and we soldered it onto the board for ABPROG. You can kind of see it. So we've got that on there. We're going to try. Okay, today we are working on a 2006-2007 Volkswagen Golf, all keys lost. And you know, it's always amazing to me, the wonderful equipment that we get to work on. Let me pull back and show you what a wonderful piece of equipment this vehicle is. This is actually in a wrecking yard, and they just want to make sure that the engine starts. So this, believe it or not, is a Micronas. So we're going to go back to Special Functions, Wizard Mode, Investigating the Vehicle, Prepare a Dealer Key. Going to click Next. We're going to auto detect. Sorry for the bad video, but we're actually in a sunny place, and well, that's what we get. So I've actually already tried this a couple of times, and it's aired out and said you have to have a working key. So we're going to try two different things. Okay. It can't do it. Okay. So we're going to exit. And we're going to go to Special Functions. We're going to go to Key Learning. We're going to try and emulate. So choose the brand of the vehicle. Should be of the same car. It says it can take, okay. So basically we're failing. So what we're going to do, we're actually going to pull a cluster and we're going to do the Micronas get around. Okay, so we're back at the 2006.8, which means that it's built 06 or 08 of 06. So this qualifies as a 2006.8 or something similar. So now when we pull the cluster out of this, we took the screws out. When we pull the cluster out of this, the way you can tell this is a Micronas and not an NEC is the fact that the plug stays in the dash. There's no little plug on one side, so we've got a Micronas box. So we're going to take this back to the shop, program a key into it. Okay, so we have unsoldered our 24C32 chip from the daughter board. You can kind of see by my finger. And we have soldered it onto a test board, an ABPROG test board. And now we're going to open up ABPROG. It's already set to 24C32, so we're going to click Read. Okay, we've got a good read. Now, before we do anything, let's verify. Make sure that we got a good read. If we don't verify and we have a bad read, we could very simply brick the cluster. Okay, so that's good. So now we're going to save this. We're going to save this as what do we call it? 2007 Golf Wrecking Yard Original. So we're going to save that. Okay, this is where it gets fun. If you want to know what to do with the bin file to make it so you can get into it, go to codecard.lt, hit enter. What's EU now? Now go up here to the search bar and type in Micronas. Then, if you notice, it says 1 and 2. Go to page 2, and there is repair by OBD2 for 2007 VW Golf Passat with Micronas. Now, what this will tell you is the super secret information. 1, how to hook up to the darn thing when it's on the bench. And 2, which lines of code to F out. Once we F these out, we'll save it as a different file and then we'll go ahead and write that back. So if you notice, it says range 0, 8, 12. So for those of you binary challenged, such as me, see how it says 810? That's 810, 811, 812. So that's 812, and then we're going to go all the way up to X9BF. So we've got 09B0 all the way up, and if we go back up a little bit, see how it says F? So basically, we are going to go from 0812 down to 0x9BF, which is here, and we're just going to F out. We'll show you how to do that. And I'm not a salesperson for these people, but I can tell you right now, I love that cable. I have that cable, and it works awesome. And they've always treated me well. So we're going to go down. Remember, we're going to go to 812. So if you go down here and you look, okay, we actually went too far. So if we go, there's 810, 811, 812. So now, if we hold down on the F button, and we are going to go all the way to 09BF. So we're just going to let this F everything out, and it's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. It's about 35 lines of code. So now just remember, we have already saved this file as the original file. So now, when we get done effing things out, hopefully we don't F anything up, ha ha ha, we are going to save that as something else. So if you watch, see how it says 990, 9A, now we go to 9B. Okay, so we're going to go all the way over, and if you notice, 9B0 all the way over to 9BF. The way that works, it's like 1, 2, 3, and then it changes into A, B, C, D, F. Okay, so now we're going to save this one, and we're going to call this the Golf Wrecking Yard, but instead of calling it the original bin, we're going to call it the fixed bin. So we're going to save that. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to actually write this back to the 24C32 chip that we took off of the daughter board. What we are doing in this step, we have basically just wiped out all the information for the immobilizer. So it's going to allow us to get into this cluster. Okay, so it says it's finished successfully, but we're going to verify just to make sure. Okay, so it verified successfully. So now what we're going to do, you notice there's still data in there, just in different spots. So what we're going to do, we're going to take the chip off of the ABPROG, and we're going to solder it back onto the daughter board, put everything back together, and then hook up to the cluster on the bench. And once we've done that, then we're going to come back and show you how to finish up. Okay, so we have soldered our chip back onto our daughter board, and we are going to take the motherboard, not to be confused with the motherland or the mothership, and we're going to press that down into the daughter board. And then we're going to clip this back together. Okay, now, if you notice on the screen, there's a nice little pin out. And this is the handy dandy, mandy bandy cable set from CarProg. And I am going to get a black and a red. The one on the bottom is going to be the ground. The one on the top is going to be power. And then if you look over here, pins 12 and 13 are going to be can high, can low. And it looks like one of my doohickeys fell off. It happens when you get old, you know. You just fell off. I don't know what happened. So, first you're going to go to pin 12. And the way that thing starts is you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And 12 is going to be the yellow. And then 13 goes on to pin 13. Now, just to give you a heads up, this is a super secret. No, it's not. It's actually a coil. This takes the place of a reader coil on the ignition. It's basically 32 gauge copper that is shellacked, and it's wrapped 201 times, so it gives you a 25 ohm resistance. Now, why am I telling you that? Why not? Okay, so if you go on these, what you're going to find is, for a key reader, on this dash, it's the same as the NEC cluster. It's pins 7 and 8. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so 5, 6, 7, and 8. It would be nice if they made these pins a little bigger, or maybe made my eyes a little bit better. But hey, we deal with what we got. Okay, so now we're hooked up. The back of this is all ready to go. We lay everything out on the dash, or on the bench. So now what we are going to do is take our Abritus. We're going to plug that in. Then we're going to turn on our power supply, and you're going to see the cluster light up. Now the cluster lights up, but it's not going to, you're not going to see the key blinking or anything. And the reason for that is because right now it doesn't have any of the immobilizer data programmed into it. So how do we get that back? Well, I'll show you. What we're going to do, we're going to wait. We're going to... Okay, it's having a hell of a hissy fit. We're going to open up Volkswagen. It's got a programmer. Okay, so now we're going to go to Special Functions, and we're going to go to CAN Instrument. And if you notice, it opens this up. Now this is where it gets good. This is where a lot of people have issues. Now, if you read the emo data, you'll get in there, but there really isn't any data. Okay. I guess we were supposed to turn the power off. Okay. Okay, see what it says? It says, please use the dump tool. Well, what happens is when you block out all of those blocks of data, it doesn't really know what the heck to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to go read configuration data, and it should try and read the data. We tried we tried getting into this. and it really didn't like it. So basically, the reason it will say unknown version, can't get into this, blah, 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 all of that stuff. The reason it says that is because we have deleted a bunch of lines of code. So what we're going to do is we're going to read configuration data. So we're going to read the data, and if you notice, it'll say down at the bottom, reading the address. So we're going to let it read the data from this. And now, this is what's kind of cool. This is how I figured out how to do this. If you go down here and you go to 0812, which is way down here. Now, if you notice, see this? See how 812 all the way up? It's F'd out. Well, that's where we F'd out the data. So now what we're going to do, we click on Load from File, and we're going to go load the original bin, and we're going to open it up. So now we have the original bin opened up. We go down here, and when we look at 812, instead of being F's and all of that, it's actually got data in it. So what we're going to do is we're going to update the configuration data. So it didn't make sense to me at the beginning, and I'm still really kind of shocked that it actually works. But what we do is we delete the immobilizer data, and then we go ahead and we write that back. Once that immobilizer data is deleted, we're able to get into the cluster and we're able to write it back. As long as we're in there, we can still talk to it. So now when we click on read emo data, it'll get in there and it'll see all the data. So right now what we can do is, oh, how about that? I think I still have it. Okay, so now that we have loaded the original file and wrote it back to the cluster, we're going to read the emo data. And you can see we have, it lets us in now, and we have 3 keys in there. So what we're going to do, we are going to take our key, we're going to put it in the ring. Yeah, I know everybody has a pro tag now, but I still have my old tag key tool. So we're going to make a dealer key and add it to the emo. We're going to click, it's already on position 4. We're going to click OK, yes. Transponder is written successfully. It's now there. We are basically, I always just click update emo data. Okay. Now we click reset. And one thing that we're going to find is when we hit reset, it's hard to see, but you can see the immobilizer light blinking now. That immobilizer light is blinking because it doesn't see a key. So this is where it gets fun. We're going to stop this for a minute. We're going to make it full screen and we'll show you what we did. Okay, hopefully this works. We're going to go to the large screen. And if you notice, that is our emo light right there. So we're going to shut off power to the cluster. Now this is the key that we just programmed into this. We're going to put it into our coil. And we're going to turn this on. And if you notice, the immobilizer light went out. So let's do that again. Take the key out of it. That's like taking the key out of the ignition. When we turn on power, you can see the light flashing saying it's not seeing a key. We're going to turn off power to it. Now, we have already programmed this key. Remember, we went through, we deleted the emo data, we wrote it back in, we updated it, we put a key into the bin file and wrote it back. That's actually what it does. So now we're going to use this coil, which is a coil of wire wrapped around a PVC pipe, and it's about 56 feet of 32 gauge wire, which gives you 25 ohms. So now when we start it up, you'll see that the emo light is no longer blinking. And when we go into special functions, when we read the data, it'll let us in because there is a key programmed in. That's the key we programmed in. So there you have it. I know it's kind of a long, drawn-out procedure, and it's always fun when you turn that on. It has its little hissy fit and beeps and screams. And but just so you know, when you're making a video, it takes you about 15-20 minutes to do this, especially if you knock the chip off and put it back on. I started taking the chip off because I don't have any problems in. Had a few guys who have used the clip and have run into problems because usually it's not that they don't get a good read, it's that they don't get a good write back to the chip and they have to start all over. Now, if you do this and you don't save your original read, you're in big trouble. I cannot stress that enough. If you don't save the original read as a file and save it, don't overwrite it, just save it, keep it separate. I can't emphasize that enough, because if you screw up the original file by deleting stuff out of it and then saving it as that original file, you have nothing to write back to the cluster. So just, as I said, save the original, don't touch it. Other than that, good luck, and hey, have fun with the VWs. Okay, so we've got our battery hooked up, and we've climbed back in the car. So now we fire this thing up, and it's running. If you notice, there is a steering wheel icon over there. And the reason for that is on these cars, when you take out a module and put them back in and do the battery and stuff, it ends up where it has to see the steering turn lock to lock a couple of times. But hey, we're done. It runs. Good to go.